MS is a progressive, degenerative, incurable disease. You can find that written in a lot of descriptions and research papers. But I'm here to tell you that there are things that we can do every day to manage our symptoms, make improvements after a relapse, and possibly prevent progression. Many believe we're doomed to only get worse and never get better. I fell into that mindset too when I was first diagnosed. I truly believed that it was all downhill and that my body would continue to fail. But that's not necessarily true. We can get better, we can improve, and we can adapt to our changing bodies and still live well with MS. Taking a holistic approach to living can help us increase our health and well-being, even when we live with chronic illness. I've been living well with my MS for almost 2 decades, and I've been sharing research and my experience on YouTube for over 6 years now. Today, I'm going to share some of my secrets and the evidence behind them to living well with my MS. I'm also going to create a free handout that will magically appear on the screen here during editing, and I'll put a link below to the handout. When I was looking at information and the keys to living healthy, many of the articles and papers that I came across had similar lists. There are 2 that I would like to reference today. In this paper from the Yale School of Medicine on Health and Aging, they say there are 7 things that we can do to age well. Eat a healthy diet, exercise, get enough sleep, avoid tobacco, manage stress, stimulate your brain, and engage socially. And in this article about the blue zones, the areas of the world where people live the longest with the least amount of chronic illnesses, they list 5 things that these populations do. They mostly eat a plant-based diet, exercise regularly, drink moderate amounts of alcohol, get enough sleep, and have good spiritual, family, and social networks. These papers aren't about MS or chronic illness, but living in general. They caught my eye because all of those things that were listed have been linked to beneficial effects for people living with MS. I've read so much research on diet and lifestyle changes that can help us live well with our disease. There are things that we can do and choices we can make every day to help us manage our symptoms and possibly prevent progression. Let's take a look at how the tips on healthy aging can also help us to live well with MS. Let's start with diet. Eating a healthy diet, predominantly of whole plant-based foods, can help us reduce fatigue, improve our quality of life, and help to stave off comorbid conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and some cancers. When we add an abundance of fruits and vegetables to our diets, we crowd out the less healthy foods and the highly processed foods. We fuel our bodies with nutrient-rich foods that are full of fiber. These nutrients in the forms of antioxidants can reduce inflammation. Healthy fats like omega-3s found in walnuts, hemp seeds, and flax seeds are also anti-inflammatory and great for brain health. Fiber is essential for a healthy gut microbiome, and the greater the diversity of fiber, the happier our guts are. I remember after my first relapse, I was so scared, and I started to look into my diet to see if I could make any changes to improve my health. I thought I was eating healthy, but it turns out I was eating the standard American diet. And I was fooled by the promises that the advertisers were making. Now, in hindsight, I realized I was eating a lot of pro-inflammatory foods like processed meats, sugary drinks, refined carbs like white rice, white pasta, and pre-made baked goods. I was also eating a lot of salt. I wasn't adding salt. It was in all those packaged and processed foods that I was eating. And at the time, there were a lot of trans fats in the forms of hydrogenated oils and processed foods like crackers, cookies, and cakes. Trans fats have since been banned in the U.S., but unfortunately, many of the trans fats have been replaced with palm oil or animal fats, which are high in saturated fat, which causes inflammation. Saturated fats have been linked to worsening of MS, so if we can limit them, we can possibly reduce some of our risk of our MS getting worse. Next is regular exercise. If you have watched any of my other videos that talk about exercise, you know that I cite one of my favorite studies on exercise in almost every one of those videos, and I'm going to do it again because it bears repeating. Exercise may be the single most effective non-pharmacological symptomatic treatment for multiple sclerosis. It's the second most effective treatment we have right after our medications. This is huge. We need to keep moving our bodies so our bodies will be able to continue to move. And the side effects of exercise are much easier to take than the side effects of our meds. Let's see, there's less chronic fatigue, increased muscle mass, increased endurance, better balance, and neuroplasticity that may help to reverse some of our disability. When we commit to regular exercise, purposefully moving our bodies every day, we may be able to stave off progression, improve our symptoms, and make improvements after relapses. What kind of exercise? Good question. I have two answers. First is the kind of exercise that you will consistently do. Currently, my regular exercise includes walking, Zumba, Pilates, and strength training. Find what you like and then do it. Many people with MS have great luck with swimming and exercising in a pool. It helps to exercise in the water so we don't get overheated, and the water has buoyancy, so it helps us with balance issues. The second answer is to meet with an MS specialist physical therapist. They can assess you and make specific recommendations on functional exercises that can help you to regain or improve function. Dr. Gretchen Holly is one of my favorites, and I will put links to her website and YouTube channel below. Next is getting enough sleep. This is one area that I never really gave much thought to before MS. I didn't prioritize sleep at all. And then after I got diagnosed, my sleep got worse. I was so in my head about what might happen or what could happen that I didn't sleep. Or if I did, it was restless. I also figured out that my left leg symptoms were interfering with my sleep. I have this tightness that makes it hard to get comfortable, or I would get restless leg, or I might be having spasms. All of these made getting good sleep almost impossible. I started seeing a therapist shortly after my diagnosis, and I still see her today. She and I have worked on sleep strategies a lot. I keep a consistent bedtime, keep my room cool and dark, don't have any screens in the bedroom, and I try not to eat too close to bedtime. I also talked with my neurologist about my symptoms, and I now take a muscle relaxer at bedtime, and that really helps. When we sleep, our brains clean house. Our spinal fluid gets to work cleaning out the plaques, and our bodies get to rest and repair. Getting good sleep can help with symptoms including fatigue, pain, memory, and thinking. And if we get better sleep, we can reduce the risk of long-term problems and aging problems like cognitive decline. Cognitive decline is one of the most scary things for me. I honestly believe that I could adapt to any of the physical challenges of MS, but losing my cognitive performance, that really scares me. The next is avoiding smoking. This is another big one. Smoking anything is bad for everyone, but it's particularly bad for people with MS. MS is a multifactorial disease, which means there are many factors that are associated with developing it. Smoking is one of those things. Evidence shows cigarette smoking as an independent risk factor for MS susceptibility and associates smoking with a greater chance of developing progressive disease and accruing more rapid disability. Rapid disability. Seriously, we need to avoid smoking. And not just tobacco. Smoking weed can do the same thing. Now, I am not anti-marijuana. I know many people that use it, and it helps with their symptoms, and it works great for them. Medical marijuana is awesome. Just don't smoke it. Get it in edible forms or tinctures. Next is managing stress. This is probably one of the hardest for many. There's so much in life that can be stressful. In fact, I recently did a whole video just on the topic of stress that I will link above and in the description below too. Learning how to manage stress has been challenging for me, but also rewarding, and I'm happier than I've ever been. Every single person I know that lives with MS or chronic illness says the same thing. My MS symptoms flare or get worse with stress. All of us. I've done a lot over the years to help me manage my stress. I work with a therapist, I exercise, I get out in nature, I have a dog who helps, and I practice mindfulness and I meditate daily. Mindfulness and meditation are so helpful. I encourage you to include it in your life daily. It can be as simple as taking a few mindful breaths each morning and evening, or doing a guided meditation for 20 or more minutes a day. I'll put some links in the description below to some meditation apps that you can try. And under the topic of managing stress, I'll talk a little bit about moderate alcohol consumption because it was included in the list from the Blue Zones. In the Blue Zones, they talk about having a glass of wine with meals and family and friends. It's part of the social experience, and there are benefits from resveratrol in the red wine. I've seen a few studies and articles saying that moderate alcohol intake can be beneficial for people with MS too. In this one, they say moderate alcohol consumption was associated with increased health-related quality of life and was associated with lower odds of significant disability. On the flip side, I've also seen studies that say alcohol is not good for people with MS. I'll let you be adults and decide if alcohol consumption is right for you or not. Let's finish with stimulate your brain and engage socially. When we challenge our brain and learn new things, it can help us cognitively. I play word games daily, and you all know that I read research and articles all the time to make videos. I really feel like being a lifelong learner has helped me to stay sharp. Engaging socially is incredibly important too. Living with chronic illness can be so isolating. It can lead to increased depression, which we already may have due to having MS, and it can also lead to us being less active and losing muscle mass and muscle tone. Having good spiritual, family, and social networks can help us so much. My spiritual life is very important to me. I attend church, I sing in my choir, and I volunteer through my church. All of these are incredibly fulfilling and important to me. If religion isn't for you, support your spiritual side by being in nature or perhaps through music. I also have relationships with my family and friends that I tend to. Having strong relationships has been shown to increase life expectancy and stave off disease too. Sometimes it isn't easy maintaining relationships when living with chronic illness, but I invite you to put effort into those relationships. It can be in small ways, like sending a good morning message every day, or scheduling a call every week, or maybe a monthly get-together to have coffee or sit in the park. So, my secrets to living well with my MS? I eat the most nutritious foods I can find and avoid processed foods. I exercise regularly and purposefully to keep my body strong and limber. I get the best sleep that I can with good sleep hygiene habits and medication for my symptoms. I don't smoke anything. I avoid stress, and I have practices to reduce stress. I make sure to stimulate and challenge my brain, and I tend to my spiritual life and relationships. If you'd like to see more on living well with MS, watch this video next. To get your free handout, check the link below. And until next time, be well.